morning. Okay, so I'm thinking that you see on the screen some fruits. Now, I know you know what these are, obviously. Maybe these, but I don't have a clue what these things are down here. They look kind of funny to me. But these are some sort of fruits that are exported from the Philippines. So I thought that was kind of neat. Okay, so speaking of Philippines, let's talk a little bit about the Philippines. Let's look at page 152 in your reader book. Now, I'm sorry, no, 151. Let's look at page 151. 151. Now, we've found out that we had a short war for the Cubans, but we warred against Spain. So that's what's known as the Spanish-American War. Probably didn't ever hear too much about it because it was very short. All right, so let's look and figure out what kind of things happened in the aftermath with Spain. Peace with Spain, actually, is what this is called. Now, if you look at the map at the bottom of page 151 in your book, it says post-war claims. Now, let's look at the key. Okay, so Spain is yellow. Do you see what they own? A little tiny bit, or what they claimed. Okay, Spanish losses. Look at all the red parts. You got the Philippines, Guam, Cuba, and Puerto Rico. That's what Spain lost. Okay, now the little brownish color is the remaining Spanish colonies. That's a little tiny colony right there in Africa. And all that red, they lost control of. And guess who took control? You're right, it was America. Let's read at the top of page 151. American and Spanish officials met in Paris, France. They began to work out a peace treaty. In December 1898, both sides agreed to a deal in the Treaty of Paris. Spain gave up Cuba, the Philippines, Puerto Rico, and Guam. The United States gave Spain $20 million for the Philippines. Spain kept its colonies in Africa. After this war, Spain no longer had territory in the Americas or Asia. The United States took over Spain's colonies. It promised that Cuba would have independence soon. It also said that the Philippines would someday become independent. The Treaty of Paris showed a change in world powers. Spain could no longer be considered a major force in the world. The United States clearly had become one of the important countries. America now had several lands overseas. Other nations had to listen to America. Remember at the very beginning of this chapter, we were talking about how America had already, America was already America, but now we were thinking about gaining things outside our lands, and that's exactly what we did, isn't it? God truly blessed our country. Look at the next page. Now, this is the war with the Filipinos. A Filipino is somebody who is from the Philippines. The peace treaty was not accepted everywhere. In the Philippines, many native Filipinos were angry. They thought the United States was fighting to set them free from Spanish rule. They didn't want to become an American colony. The United States fought for several years against Filipino forces. Although they were not as well arranged or armed as the Spanish, the Filipino soldiers were hard to defeat. By 1903, the United States had made peace with the Philippines. The United States worked to prepare the Philippines for independence. Filipinos were given more self-government. American businesses and missionaries traveled to the Philippines, and finally, on July 4th, 1946, after World War II, the Philippines gained full independence. So the reason they were fighting with us is because we set them free from Spanish rule, but they thought that they weren't going to be American controlled. They thought we set them free from Spain so that they could be their own free country, but America still owned them. And so they were like, nah, we don't think we want to be owned. We don't want to be an American colony. We want to be the Philippines. And so that's in fact what they got, July the 4th, which I guess would be considered their Independence Day as well. All right, so I think we're gonna go ahead and stop right there. Well, I don't know. No, I wanted to read one more thing. The questions for America. We're just gonna read the rest of this section and then we're gonna stop. Now, as the Spanish-American War ended, Americans had many questions to ask themselves. Should the United States take over the foreign lands? Can a free country control other people? Why is the United States taking these lands? During the middle of the war, the United States gained the islands of Hawaii, located between the United States and the Philippines. The United States needed to protect shipping to the Philippines from the Spanish during the war, but several famous Americans spoke out against taking other lands. Among these were Grover Cleveland, Andrew Carnegie, and Mark Twain. Many people didn't think the United States should take over the Philippines. President McKinley promised the United States would not control the Philippines forever. Even so, many Americans thought the United States should be freeing other countries, not making an empire. Through the Treaty of Paris with Spain, the United States took over different lands. The Constitution says that the Senate must approve all treaties. The Senate approved the treaty by only one vote. Americans were not united in support of taking new lands. What do you think about that? Do you think that that would be good for America to take over lands and then own them and make them American? Think back to before America was America. Remember how England owned America, but it was way across the ocean, and the King of England tried to tell us what to do over here. We didn't like that. We were like, no, we don't want to be owned by you. We want to be our own country. That's the same thing these other countries were saying. No, we don't want to be like you. We want to be our own country. Because you are so far away from us, you can't control us and tell us what to do. It was kind of the same concept, wasn't it? There's some cartoons, political cartoons, at the top of page 153. That big tall man with the striped pants and striped hat and the blue shirt, he is not a real person, never was. His name is Uncle Sam. He is just a symbol of our government. So anytime anybody says Uncle Sam, they're referring to this man, which this man is our government. So he's up there holding a baby, saying, don't worry, little nation, Uncle Sam is here. Well, that baby represents these other countries. And see him digging through the tunnel? Now he's saying, nation, you're free. So it's showing how America is taking these nations and helping them to become free. A lot of people didn't think they should. A lot of people thought they should. So your assignment today is to see if you can find out, but you're going to have to ask permission to see if you can search online and find some of the things that are exported from the Philippines to the United States. Okay? Export means taking like something that's made or grown in the Philippines and sent over here to be sold. So I'd like for you to see if you can find some things. You can just make a list and you can just message me that list on Google Classroom. And make sure you title the list so I know what it is. Goods exported from the Philippines to the U.S. And then just give me a list of some things. If you want to share some pictures, you can. But before you get online to search, make sure you ask permission. Okay, because I don't want to ask you to do something like that you're not supposed to do. Okay, so that's your only assignment, and that will be all for today.